All right, degenerates, we need to talk about MK-677, also known as ibutamoren, also known as the Gains pill, also known as that thing Mike Israetel just made a video about that's gonna get a bunch of you idiots hurt. And before you click away thinking this is gonna be some boring safety lecture, stick around because this story is absolutely wild and reveals some seriously sketchy shit happening in the fitness industry right now. Mike just dropped a video calling MK-677 the Gains pill and talking about how you can gain 3 to 5 pounds of muscle in 12 weeks by taking this stuff. He's out here describing the dosing protocols, telling you where to buy it from reputable peptide websites, explaining how to manage the side effects, the whole 9 yards. Very detailed, very scientific sounding, very, trust me, I have a PhD. Here's what he doesn't lead with, and what I'm going to tell you right up front, MK-677 is not an approved drug. It's not FDA approved. It's not approved anywhere. It's a failed drug candidate that pharmaceutical companies abandoned because it wasn't safe enough to bring to market. And now it's being sold on gray market websites to gym bros who think they've discovered some secret that Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about. Spoiler alert, Big Pharma absolutely wanted this to work. They spent millions developing it. They just couldn't get it past safety trials without going, yeah, this is probably going to hurt people in ways we can't justify. So let's talk about what MK-677 actually is, because the way Mike describes it makes it sound like some cutting-edge supplement. It's a growth hormone secretagogue, which is a fancy way of saying it makes your body release more growth hormone. Sounds great, right? More growth hormone equals more muscle, more recovery, all the good stuff. Except here's the problem. Your body regulates growth hormone levels very carefully for a reason. When you artificially jack them up with drugs, you get all sorts of fun side effects. And by fun, I mean potentially life-altering health problems that Mike mentions and then immediately tells you how to manage. Let's go through Mike's video and talk about what he says versus what he's not saying. First, he mentions that this drug absolutely raises your blood sugar and lowers your insulin sensitivity. That's doctor speak for this gives you pre-diabetes. And his solution? Take metformin, another drug, to counteract the diabetes you're giving yourself with the first drug. So now you're not taking one research chemical, you're taking 2 drugs to make the first one not destroy your pancreas. This is like setting your house on fire and then being like, don't worry, I bought a fire extinguisher. We're totally managing this responsibly. He also mentions it can cause heart failure in people who are predisposed to it. Just casually drops that in there like it's no big deal. Oh yeah, might make your heart fail, but keep your blood pressure below 120/80 and you're probably fine. Brother, if a drug can cause heart failure, maybe we shouldn't be calling it a Gains pill and selling it to 20-year-olds on the internet? But here's my favorite part, the hunger. Mike talks about how this drug makes you ravenously hungry because it mimics ghrelin, the hunger hormone. He describes waking up in the middle of the night starving, being distracted at work because all he could think about was food, feeling like he was barely on any appetite suppressant even though he was on 5 milligrams of tirzepatide, which is literally the strongest appetite suppressant on the planet right now. Think about that for a second. He was on a drug that makes most people struggle to eat enough to survive, and MK-677 still made him constantly hungry. His solution? Take more tirzepatide to counteract the hunger from the MK-677. So now we're at 3 drugs, MK-677 to boost growth hormone, metformin to prevent the diabetes, and tirzepatide to prevent the obesity. This is pharmaceutical Jenga, and everyone's acting like it's normal. And his advice for people who aren't on tirzepatide, just eat clean, high-protein foods to stay full. He's like, yeah, this drug will make you want to eat everything in sight, but just have willpower and stick to chicken and broccoli. Brother, if willpower worked, nobody would be fat. That's not a solution, that's a recipe for people gaining 30 pounds in 12 weeks and wondering what went wrong. Now let's talk about where you're supposed to get this stuff. Mike says you buy it from reputable peptide websites. What the hell is a reputable peptide website? These are gray market suppliers selling research chemicals that say not for human consumption on the bottle because if they didn't, they'd be shut down for selling unapproved drugs. You're trusting some random website that you found through a Reddit thread to accurately dose and properly store a compound that affects your hormones and blood sugar? There's no FDA oversight, no quality control, no guarantee that what's in the bottle matches what's on the label. For all you know, you could be getting baby powder, or you could be getting 10 times the dose you think you're getting. It's a total shoot screw. Mike says if it's been batch tested and the batch tests are public online, it's fine. Batch tests from who? The company selling you the product? That's like asking a used car salesman if the car is reliable and taking his word for it. There's no independent verification, no regulatory body checking this stuff. You're just hoping that the gray market supplier isn't scamming you or accidentally killing you. And here's the thing that really pisses me off about this whole situation. Mike frames this as some responsible, informed choice that adults can make. He's got all these disclaimers about talk to your doctor and get blood work and know the risks. But then he spends 30 minutes explaining exactly how to dose it, what to stack it with, how to manage the side effects, where to buy it. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, this is dangerous, be careful, and then give a complete how-to guide. That's like a drug dealer saying, cocaine is bad for you, but if you're gonna do it, here's the best stuff, and here's how much to take. The disclaimer doesn't absolve you of responsibility for promoting something harmful. Let's talk about who this is actually going to hurt. Mike says, don't use this if you're under 25. Great advice. You know who watches fitness YouTube? Teenagers and guys in their early 20s who are desperate to get bigger and will do anything to speed up the process. You think they're going to listen to that age restriction? You think they're not going to see Gains pill and immediately start Googling where to buy it? These are the same guys who see someone on steroids and think, I'll just do a small cycle, it'll be fine. The same guys who think they can manage the risks because they watch some YouTube videos. And now they're going to be taking research chemicals that pharmaceutical companies abandoned as too risky, thinking they're being responsible because they're getting blood work done. And let's be honest about what's happening here. The fitness industry has completely normalized drug use to the point where failed pharmaceutical compounds are being marketed as supplements. We've gone from protein powder to creatine to SARMs to research chemicals that never made it past phase 2 trials. And at each step, there's some influencer with a PhD telling you it's safe if you're responsible about it. Mike mentions you can stack this with Ligandrol, which is a SARM that suppresses your natural testosterone production. His advice? It's a personal choice only adults can make. Cool. So we're just going to recommend people shut down their natural hormone production for 3 to 5 pounds of muscle they'll probably lose anyway when they come off. Makes total sense. The whole video is structured to make this sound reasonable and scientific. He talks about growth hormone pathways and insulin sensitivity and dosing protocols. He throws around medical terms and cites research. But strip away all that, and what you're left with is a guy telling you to take a failed drug from a sketchy website, combine it with other drugs to manage the side effects, and hope for the best. Here's the thing that really gets me. This stuff failed clinical trials. That means pharmaceutical companies, who have a massive financial incentive to get drugs approved, decided this was too risky to continue developing. These are companies that successfully got Vioxx approved, which killed thousands of people before being pulled from the market. They approved opioids that caused an addiction epidemic, and even they looked at MK-677 and said, nah, we're not comfortable putting our name on this. But somehow, a bunch of gym bros on the internet have decided they know better than the entire pharmaceutical research and regulatory process. Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about this. No, Big Pharma spent millions trying to make this work and gave up because the risk-benefit ratio was terrible. Now let's talk about the actual gains you can expect, because Mike is very specific about this. He says 3 to 5 pounds of muscle in 12 weeks, of which you'll keep maybe 3 pounds. That's it. That's what you're risking diabetes, heart problems, and who knows what long-term effects for. 3 pounds of muscle that you might keep. You know what else will get you 3 pounds of muscle in 12 weeks? Training hard and eating right, consistently, for 3 months, without any drugs at all, without any health risks, without spending money on gray market research chemicals, just showing up to the gym, progressively overloading, and eating enough protein. But that's not exciting. That doesn't feel like you've discovered some secret hack. That's just boring old hard work that requires discipline and patience. And so people would rather take failed pharmaceutical compounds than just do the basics consistently long enough to see results. Mike says this is for older folks who have trouble gaining muscle. You know what older folks who have trouble gaining muscle need? Probably testosterone replacement therapy from an actual doctor with prescription medication that's regulated and monitored, not gray market growth hormone secretagogues from a website that also sells nootropics and penis pills. If you're actually having trouble building muscle because of age-related hormone decline, go to an endocrinologist. Get your hormones tested properly. Get prescribed actual medicine if you need it. Don't self-medicate with research candidates from the internet because a YouTube video made it sound sophisticated and safe.
Here's the uncomfortable truth. The fitness industry is running out of legal ways to sell you shortcuts. Protein works, creatine works, caffeine works. After that, you're into diminishing returns territory where the next level up is actual drugs. And there's not that much money in telling people, just train hard and be patient. So, what do? You rebrand failed pharmaceutical compounds as research peptides. You talk about them like they're the next evolution of supplementation. You get guys with PhDs to make detailed videos explaining the science so it sounds legitimate. And you hope nobody asks too many questions about why these drugs failed approval in the first place. The craziest part is Mike acknowledges all the risks. He tells you it raises blood sugar, lowers insulin sensitivity, can cause heart failure, causes massive hunger, requires other drugs to manage the side effects, needs constant blood work monitoring, and might not even work that well. And then his conclusion is, yeah, you can use this responsibly. That's like describing a car that randomly accelerates. The brakes sometimes don't work, it occasionally catches fire, and the steering wheel falls off, and then saying, but if you're a responsible adult who knows the risks, it's a valid transportation option. No. If something has that many serious problems, the answer is don't use it, not use it responsibly. There's no responsible way to take a drug that failed safety trials because some guy on YouTube gave you a dosing protocol. And look, I get it. Everyone wants shortcuts. Everyone wants to find that one thing that's going to accelerate their progress and get them to their goals faster. That's human nature. But at some point, we have to be honest about the cost of those shortcuts and whether they're actually worth it. Is 3 pounds of muscle worth potentially developing diabetes? Is it worth the risk of heart problems? Is it worth taking 3 different drugs just to manage the side effects of the first one? Is it worth buying unregulated chemicals from sketchy websites and hoping they don't kill you? For most people watching this, the answer should be absolutely not. You're not a pro bodybuilder making a living from your physique. You're not getting paid to take these risks. You're just a regular person who wants to look better. And there are way safer ways to do that. Here's what nobody wants to hear. You're probably not even close to your natural potential yet. Most people could train naturally for 5 to 10 years and still be making progress. You don't need research chemicals, you need consistency and patience. But consistency and patience don't sell supplements and don't get clicks on YouTube. The fitness industry has created this culture where if you're not constantly optimizing and adding new supplements and trying the latest compound, you're leaving gains on the table. But that's bullshit. The vast majority of your results come from the boring basics: showing up, training hard, eating enough protein, sleeping well, and being patient. Everything else is marginal gains at best and serious health risks at worst, and MK-677 is definitely in that second category. So, what should you do if you're watching this and you were thinking about trying MK-677? Don't. Just don't. It's not worth it. The risks are real, the gains are minimal, and there are safer ways to achieve the same results. If you're genuinely having trouble building muscle, look at your training program first. Are you actually progressively overloading? Are you training close enough to failure? Are you hitting each muscle group with enough volume? Most people's problem isn't their hormones, it's their programming. Second, look at your diet. Are you actually eating enough? Are you getting enough protein? Are you consistent with it? Most people wildly overestimate how much they're eating and then blame their genetics when they don't grow. Third, look at your recovery. Are you sleeping enough? Are you managing stress? Are you giving your body time to adapt to training? You can't out-supplement bad recovery. And if after all that you're still convinced you need pharmaceutical help, go to a doctor. Get your hormones tested. If there's actually something wrong, get prescribed real medicine that's been approved and regulated. Don't self-medicate with failed drug candidates from the internet. The fitness industry is going to keep pushing this stuff because there's money in it. Influencers are going to keep making videos about it because it gets views, and every time someone points out how dangerous this is, they're going to hide behind disclaimers and personal choice rhetoric. But at the end of the day, Promoting failed pharmaceutical compounds to your audience is irresponsible, no matter how many disclaimers you put in. And taking those compounds is a terrible risk-benefit trade-off, no matter how much you want to believe you're being smart about it. You want the real gains pill? It's called training hard, consistently for years. I know that's not the answer you want to hear. I know it's not exciting, but it's the truth. And sometimes the truth is boring. Now, stop looking for shortcuts and go do some actual work. Your future self with functioning organs will thank you. I'm Zirk, and I'll see you in the next one, where hopefully we can talk about actual training instead of whatever pharmaceutical nightmare the fitness industry decides to promote next. Peace out, Gains Goblins.